In a previous video, I showed you this seesaw-like platform, and I also showed you this kind of balancing scales version of it, where if I stand on one of these scales, it goes down and the other one goes up, and the other way around. And as you can see up there, the little bar at the top also rotates back and forth with all that. And strangely enough, this one is kind of easier to make in some ways. It involves a lot less math, but it's a little more involved in adding different types of components. So today I'll take a look at this one and recreate it. So let's start with an entirely clean project. As always, the finished version with the scales implemented will be down below in the description to download for YouTube members and patrons. Help support the channel, get you the project files to mess around with, but without any further ado, let's go ahead and make the blueprint that we're going to be working with. So a just normal blueprint actor will do. We'll call it BP scales and just open that up. Before diving into the code, I'm going to set up all of the separate components that we need for this, and it's going to be a fair few. I'm going to just use normal cubes for all of the components here. Obviously, if you want to make this proper in your actual game, you'd substitute a lot of this for actual 3D assets, but I don't have any of those right now, so we're just going to put this down anywhere in the air, really, up somewhere. And then in my case, because I'm just working with normal cubes, I'm going to set the scale to something like 15 wide, and then, I don't know, 3 wide in that direction, just make it a little wider, and then maybe make it a little thinner as well to 0.3. If you just have a proper scaled 3D mesh, you don't need to mess with the scale here, of course. And then attached to that, we're going to add 2 scene components. Make sure that they're children of our balancing bar, which we'll call this just like balance bar or something like that. And we'll call this one left anchor. And we're going to put that at the same height as our bar, which means its relative location that we see here should be about 0, 0, 0. And then we'll move it to the left to be, well, attached, not all the way to the left, but where the, well, hanging scale part of it is going to be attached to. So probably somewhere like here-ish. In this case, about minus 37. In your case, probably minus some other value. Then we'll duplicate that, just select it and Control D and call it right anchor. And we're going to put that on the opposite side. So whatever X position this now has, we're just going to take out the minus, or if it was positive, we're going to add a minus to it, and that just gives me the exact same position, just on the other direction. And the great thing about this is because these are full scene components, when I rotate this thing, they will stick to their relative position on this bar. And that is exactly the mechanic that we're going to be working off here. Next up, we add 2 more static mesh components. And in my case, those are also just going to be cubes. For these ones, it is important to not attach them to our balance bar though. These ones are going to be just floating around. And for now, we can just put them in some pretty random spots. I'm going to scale these up a little bit in the X and Y as well. Let's say, I don't know, 7 by 7. That's maybe a little too much. Let's say 4 by 4 for the scale. Make them a little thinner as well. Again, if you have your own 3D mesh, just make sure that it's scaled properly as you imported it already. And we'll call this one left scale and copy it over, make one called right scale as well. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to take its X position and flip it around to the other side. And you will notice that when I rotate this thing, the little platforms do not, in fact, rotate with it, and that is on purpose. Because we don't want to rely on just parenting them, because if we did, they would also start rotating in like 3D space with it, and that's not really good for making a balancing scale. So we're going to make these adjust their heights based on some code in a moment here. Last 2 little things that we add is a box collider to either side, the left and the right here, so we'll add that as a child of the actual scale box. Get its location, just set it to 0, 0, 0, so it's relative at the exact same position as our scale platform, and make it roughly the same size as our scale platform. Just make sure that it peeks out a little bit in terms of the Z, but not by too much, because you obviously want this to be responsive whenever we are on this platform, and whenever we're off it, we want to not have this thing register us. Call this left collider, and then we just copy that over to the right side as well and call it right collider. And we can just reset its location and scale. And then if it does anything weird, we can just copy this transform by shift right clicking on this transform tab, going back to the right collider, and then shift left clicking, and it will paste in the exact same relative transform so that it's the same on both sides. Now we have all of the components set up that we can work with, and the rest of the code is going to be, well, relatively easy, believe it or not. We just want to keep track of its movement mode. Should it be not moving? Should it be tilting the left side up? Should it be tilting the right side up? Those are the three options for a balancing scale, right? And for that, we're going to be using these colliders that we added. If we just select one of them and scroll all the way down, we get specific events for their colliders for just this component. We don't use begin overlap for the actor as a whole in this case. What we want to do is we want to use the component begin overlap, and then click on it again, component end overlap. And we're going to add those events for both our separate colliders. So we'll have begin and end overlap for left, and begin and end overlap for the right. Most important thing before anything else, if we want to filter this on only responding to our player actor, which in my case I want, if you don't want this to only respond to your player actor and you want to have multiple different things which can have different weights, and you want to actually make this like balance up and down, it becomes a lot more complicated, and very quickly you might want to look into setting this up with physics instead. I'm just making this as a platforming game mechanic, which relying too much on physics there makes it feel unresponsive, makes it feel unreliable, so that's why we're hard coding it here. But the downside to it is it only really works very well if you're doing this with specifically looking for one character or one player. I might try to make a physics-based one in the future if there is enough interest for it. But for now, we're going to check the other actor that we're colliding with, and I'm just going to check whether or not that is equal to the get player character. Because if it isn't, I want this thing to do nothing. I don't want it to respond at all. And we're going to do that for every single one of these collision events. So just do this, and all of them, other actor goes into the top pin, and then the execution pin goes into the branch. Probably going to give this a little bit more room for each of them. And just paste that in twice more. Other actor into there, other actor into there, execution and execution. And now our scale will only respond to our player character entering and exiting its colliders. Ideally, you might want to keep track of what mode it is in with a enum, an enum that has an option for tilt left, tilt right, or no tilt. I'm going to keep this a little bit more simple, straightforward. We're just going to keep track of it with an integer. It's essentially what an enum also does, or it keeps track of it with a byte in the term. This is so simple that just using a integer probably is good enough. So we'll call this movement mode, and I'm going to set this to be an integer. And all we do is we just use this movement mode setting, and whenever we enter the left collider, we set this to 1, and whenever we exit it, we set it to 0. And then whenever we enter the right, we're going to set this to 2. And whenever we leave the right, we set this back to 0 as well. So just copy this over. The top one is going to be 2, and the bottom is going to be 0. This is why this is so much more simple if you just make it only respond to the player character. Because there's never going to be an issue where there's already one actor on one side and then that leaves, but then another actor enters the other side, or whatever order of those events end up happening. Becomes a lot more complex to hard code this type of stuff when you're working with multiple different other types of characters. At which point, hard coding it like this starts to make less and less sense. Then we're going to go into event tick, and here we're going to check if our movement mode does not equal, so that is exclamation mark equal, or just type not equal, that also works, to 0. Because if our movement mode is 0, that means that we've just left either one of these colliders, and that's just saying, hey, we don't want to move at all. And if we don't want to move at all, there's no use in doing any of the rest of the code that we're going to be putting here into event tick. If we do want to move, however, we want to take our balance bar and we want to set its relative rotation, which is very similar to the way that we did the seesaw balancing platform before. It's just going to have some minor differences here in a moment. But we'll just make a rotator, and we're only going to really be influencing the Y components, the pitch. So the X and the Z are going to remain the same. So it just gets its current relative rotation. We can split that structure pin, just pull the X into the X, the Y into the Y. We don't need to worry about those. For the pitch though, what we do is we take the current pitch and we add to that a multiplication of a couple of different numbers. So just pull off of this one and multiply. First one, we're doing something in Eventic, always multiply by delta seconds. Second one, we're going to be multiplying by a variable that is going to be the amount of speed that we're going up or down with, which will be exposed. And my default speed has been set to 15 in my example. You can change this up or down depending on what feels good for you. And then the last one here is going to be a select. Don't use the normal select float here, use the one with a little icon next to it, because this selection node allows you to put in whatever type of index that you want. But we're going to be using an integer, because based on whatever movement mode we're in, we're going to either multiply this with 0, which should never be the case, because if our movement mode is 0, we're never even running this code anyway. But option 1 is, well, when we're movement mode 1, that is when we're standing on the left collider, we're going to multiply this with 1. It's just going to be the same number is going to be tilting in that direction. If the option is 2, our movement mode is 2, that means that we're standing on the right collider, we're going to -1 multiply this, meaning that we just want to tilt in the other direction. These might end up needing to be swapped in a moment. Once you test this and if it works counter to how you expect it to work, just swap the -1 and the +1. But that just tilts the top bar either left or right, depending on where we're standing. It's probably a good idea to, once we add that to our current pitch, also clamp that float value between a minimum and a maximum, let's say anywhere between -40 and +40, so that it has a bottom where it just won't go down any further. And we put that into the pitch. And this, so far, is very similar to our seesaw version of this blueprint, if you've seen that tutorial. If you haven't, doesn't matter, you can follow along with this without too much trouble. But you'll be able to see, once I start standing on this, the top bar is going to start moving, well, down here, as long as I'm standing on that one, and then down towards this one when I'm standing on this one. But obviously we see that we aren't actually moving these platforms down yet, and that's what the next little bit of code is going to do. I'm going to encapsulate that in a function because I also want to run this in the construction script, and you'll see why in a moment. So let's make a function and call that update platforms, and it's going to be very, very easy because we get the left anchor's world location, so we just get world location, and we subtract from that with split structure pin, just 0, 0 in the X and Y. The only thing that we want to subtract from it is in the Z, a certain distance. And we'll promote this to a variable, distance. And that's going to be the distance that these two platforms are dangling below our balancing bar. So by default, I don't know, let's set that to 500. And then all we need to do is get our left scale and set its world location to whatever that outputs. So it's going to get our left anchor, subtract the distance that we want to have between the top bar and the platform itself, and that's going to be the world location for our left scale. And you wouldn't believe it, but we're going to do the exact same thing for the right scale. So we just get the right scale, we set the world location, and we just set that based on our right anchor, get world location, and we also just subtract the distance from the Z there, all in the exact same way, put that in there. And that's all there is to this function. This function isn't complicated at all. It's just, we want to do this whenever we have updated our relative rotation for the balance bar itself. So just update platforms. But we also want to do this in the construction script so that we can visually see where the platforms will be hanging. And we can see that now on distance, if we make that a exposed variable as well. As I increase this, you can see that these platforms go up and down. It's kind of nice to have that in the construction script, updating in real time. And I'm probably going to make this like 750, something like that. Let's pull this up a little bit more again. And that is it. We've got our balancing scales now. If I can actually manage to jump onto them and not fail jumping miserably, we are going down on this one, which means that we're going up on that one. It's going down through the floor there in that case, which is less than ideal. And I can't jump onto it. But that is why we want to be able to both adjust this distance and also clamp the amount of rotation that we can give to the balancing bar up top, so that we don't have it go down through the floor and it stops moving before that. But that does require a little bit of testing to see if it stops early enough. In this case, it still doesn't. So maybe I just allow it to tilt a little too much. Maybe 40 is a bit over the amount that we want. And we can promote this to a variable as well, which is max tilt. And then just take that value multiplied by -1 for the minimum. And let's set this to 20 by default for now, just to show you. It will stop a lot sooner. You see, there it stopped after only tilting 20 degrees in the other direction. And now this thing is too high for me to jump up on, but that is kind of the point of this type of balancing scale. So entirely without physics, which means that it is just a little bit more responsive and good for specific uses in things like platforming games. Comes with its own type of limitations, of course. So depending on your use case, this might be preferable. This might not work at all for what you need it to do. Welcome to programming. And if you want to help support me make more of this content, you can get the project files for any tutorial that I make on my Patreon or as a YouTube member. To help support the channel, and it gives you access to the project files to learn from and mess around with. And of course, an extra big thank you to my Cave students tier supporters, Oiku and Earl Monteval Erno, and my Cave Digger tier supporters, Classy Crustaceo, the Josh Mater, Mauricio Farias, Brendan D. Hill, and Chang the Dude.